Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review Series, April 3rd, 1982. Actually caught up all the way through about November or so. So we're going to have a lot of content over the next few days, but this is the April 3rd, 1982 edition, and a lot begins to happen over the next couple of months. April's kind of slow a little bit, but when we move into the end of June and all of that, lots of things that are historic happens here. So we open with highlights of the defeat of Ted DiBiase, which we've talked about before. Um, the nature of all of that is already discussed in another audio. Um, and I mean, it's Roop beating DiBiase for the North American Championship, which factors in to the next several months for quite a bit. DiBiase passes out due to the pain from the figure four. That also factors in here. Paul Orndorff confronting Bob Roop for stealing his championship shot. Also a major part of the nature here, which is where our second segment comes in. Buddy Landell, who becomes a major mainstay in the Southern wrestling areas, CWA, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and the like, over the next several years, and the NWA, manages to be a part of this as well. But the confrontation between Bob Roop and Paul Orndorff, Roop stealing the championship match from Orndorff. Orndorff doesn't hang around terribly much longer. He's around for a little while longer, but not terribly much more. Coco Samoa and Bob Roop is up next. Obviously, Roop is your new North American champion, the guy in the territory, and certainly he uses power here early, gets an advantage as quick as he can, uses good wrestling technique. Again, Roop kind of a stockier guy, not a guy that even having watched several months of him, I don't particularly enjoy his work. I'm sure it's very good. Coco Samoa, though, a babyface they're trying to push and give an opportunity to. I love Mid South in the fact that everybody on the card, at least at some level, looks like they can do some damage. Coco Samoa works over the arm quite a bit and is pretty aggressive, assertive here. Spends a couple of minutes working over the arm, even taking it to the outside of the ring. Then we kind of see a cutoff by, the champion swinging a neck breaker, and again, Coco Samoa looks like he could actually win this thing. Big splash. Also, non-title match is a big deal in the 80s. Don't seem to be a big deal now. Block of the sunset flip by Roop. Roop ends up with a really difficult situation and ends up, blocking him, sending him away, sending him off, and away we go. Roop a bit slower moving than DiBiase, but again, DiBiase been a solid North American champion for a good bit of time here, and is playing the role quite well, doing what he needs to do. Roop being moved into does explain a lot of things. Obviously, Roop gets the victory here at the end of this particular contest, and he gets that victory. Let me just check my notes on the finish here. But he gets the victory relatively simply put, and ultimately moves on as your North American champion. We move into the next match, which is Mike Boyer versus Paul Orndorff. Again, Orndorff wanting to get his hands on Bob Roop because of the stealing of the championship match. Boyer, relatively newcomer. I don't know much about him at the time. I know he hangs around Mid-South for quite a while. I also know that he is pretty intense an individual, and crossovers, tackles, and the like. Pretty simple stuff here. Orndorff continues to be a major power force, and Boyer gets some stuff. Orndorff works over the arm quite a bit and manages to, in fact, kind of get hammerlocks and all of that. Simple stuff that's meaningful and masterful and really important, but at the same time, Orndorff manages to hit a flying clothesline, gets what he needs out of the match, and actually, I think even does the old double ear bell ringer spot on the ears, and very clear that Orndorff gets a solid victory here. Again, Roop and he around the uh, area, a big deal. Next, an interview from Skandor Akbar. Akbar is responsible, or being accused of being responsible, for the disappearance of the nature of the disappearance of Killer Carl Krupp. He doesn't take any responsibility for this. We then move into a tag team championship match, or at least a match with the tag team champions in it. The Samoans and Buddy Landel and Jesse Barr. Of course, Akbar still managing the Samoans. Samoans, of course, winning the championship back with his help. And this is, I mean, it's a very basic match. Samoans, I get their influence. I get that they were mean, nasty, and not fun to deal with, but they were not my style. Barr ends up using several arm bars and arm drags and the like. Cut off of the ring by the Samoans. Finally, Landell gets in a little bit, but Barr takes the majority of the match, drop kicks, and actually brawls quite a bit here. Double chop to the throat by Sika. Sika, the larger of the Afa and Sika team. Then we move to a victory for the Samoans. Samoan drop included. Obviously, a move that they invented would be something they would use, right? Anyway, we move to another match. This particular contest is a enhancement match. Rick Ferrara versus the One Man Gang. This is a match that is exactly what is interesting, and it's funny to me. The first couple of weeks that he was unnamed, I did not recognize the gang at all. I laugh now because once I name him, I'm like, wait a minute, I can see that. But he's so different looking by the time we see him in, let's say 86 versus 82. The hair throws me off. Seeing the One Man Gang with hair and a little bit, thinner than he was in his WWF run, or maybe the gear he's wearing makes him look thicker. I don't know. Anyway, arm locks, hammer locks, and wrist locks. Gang obviously gets a victory. He does that with a bear hug and a big splash, among other things. Gang not exactly treated like an unbeatable force quite yet, although that comes, but he still does have a match about 3 minutes or so, give or take a little bit. And we move to Ernie Ladd calling out Skandor Akbar's group. Ernie Ladd says he can get a partner. He does mention that he tried to partner with the Junkyard Dog. Dog turned him down. He does say that he offered Dog $10,000 to team with him, but he will find a partner to manage to get rid of his issues with the Wild Samoans. He admits to feeling betrayed by the Samoans. Interesting team here, and future Hall of Famers both. Tully Blanchard and Wayne Ferris. Wayne Ferris, of course, the Honky Tonk Man. Now, imagine that. Tully Blanchard and the Honky Tonk Man in 1982. Interesting team, to say the very least. Junkyard Dog and Mr. Olympia are their adversaries for the day. And obviously, Junkyard Dog, big time guy, still the Louisiana champion, although that changes as we go into the summer, but we'll get there when we get there. Olympia continues to be a top babyface in the area. Ferris, by the way, Honky Tonk Man, blonde hair. So if you've only seen the Honky Tonk Man in his WWF run, you're missing out. He wrestled in the 70s into I think he retired 2015 or something like that. So a long career for the Honky Tonk Man, but would have the Blonde Bombers elsewhere. But here, pretty major guy, and cut off the ring on Tully Blanchard. Blanchard really hasn't quite found himself fully yet in the area. Doesn't stay a terribly long time. Just kind of passing through for a few months, but getting some experience. Of course, he moves on to be a major force in the NWA, otherwise Crockett Promotions, over 84 and on. But here in 82, still a major force here, or at least a medium one. Drops the forearm, does Wayne Ferris, and again, Blanchard comes back in. Pretty big deal. Chop block to the knee and a missed drop kick by Mr. Olympia. And Ferris cuts off the ring, kind of keeps things going, and keeps things pretty simple. Again, they continue cutting off the ring. Big atomic drop by the Junkyard Dog on Tully Blanchard, and Dog manages to get caught with a shot to the midsection and a couple of elbow drops by Ferris. Dog then manages to get body slammed, almost looks like, but Olympia comes off with a diving drop kick, and that he drop kicks the Dog into his opponent, and the Dog hits the thump slam on Ferris for a win. Then we go into a final kind of standby match, which I believe is unfinished, as Ron Cheatham and Iron Mike Sharp here. Sharp, a pretty intense guy in Mid-South at this time period. Uses the top wrist lock, kind of fights his way out. But they've only got a couple of minutes. So again, the full Nelson attempted by Cheatham, and that doesn't really go exactly the way he wants to go either. You know, Sharp goes back to the corner, gets sidestepped over, and then we see Sharp with an Irish whip and manages to get caught with a knee to the midsection by Cheatham. A big body slam, and then the hanging backbreaker, and Sharp, amazingly, with a couple seconds left in the program, gets the victory. So that'll close us for this week. We'll be back with more right after this.